Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name is Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. Back to a more regular episode this week after my Bendigo haul episode last week. Thank you for indulging me in sharing all of that stuff. And as I start to work on things, I will be again sharing it here, but from a creative point of view. As you can see, there is a little bit of sun coming through here now. It's a beautiful day, but really cold. So I think what I'm going to do when I'm done here is sit. There's a spot on the couch just over there that's actually in full sun right now, and it's going to be the perfect spot to sit here and knit for the afternoon. But the sun is starting to get a little bit higher in the sky. A few weeks ago, it was coming in, cutting right across me, and now it's above the level of the glass at the same time of day. So the days are starting to get a little bit longer again, and we're getting not quite so dark first thing in the morning, but super frosty mornings for us here at the moment. Our dams are starting to get some water held in them, which is good. We repaired the fence around the trees before the dam gets too full, and we couldn't get in or on the backside to get that done. What else has been happening here? We had the cows graze in just outside the house for a few days. We put up a bit of temporary fencing, and we had them in there, which was interesting until they decided to trample the fence and get out. They didn't get out anywhere. They just got a bit further up the driveway and started eating a big bale of hay, but that's okay. They're now back in their paddock, but they did their job in terms of mowing down the little bit that we needed them to take care of. I've been regularly feeding the sheep their grain pellets, and they every time now that I come out, they literally like run up to the gate to say hello because they want food. So I try not to give them food always when I come over, otherwise it'll become too much of a habit. But especially at the moment, they really do need that extra supplement of food. I need to start dyeing up a Christmas colorway. Um, But this time last year, I'd actually already finished dyeing it up, had it all ready to go, and was planning on the rollout of the pre-order. What I normally do is open a pre-order in September, October. So it might end up having to be October this year, and run a pre-order for a period of time. And as I get enough to do a batch, I will make those batches and send them out so you can get it well before Christmas, with a deadline in November of when I will close off and stop dyeing yarn. I'll then take batches of that also to the Christmas market that I do as one of the All About Fibre and Yarn markets in Lower Templestowe at the end of the year. So I kind of have a reasonably large window of Christmas yarn time. But having said that, as I said, this time last year, I had already had my inspiration photos, and I had dyed up the colorway, and I had already knit with it. This year, I was struggling with an idea, but I think I've come up with what I want to try and do. So I'm going to soak some yarn this afternoon, and over the next few days, I'm going to experiment with what I have in my head. And hopefully next week or the week after, I will have something that's I'm happy with and that is what I want. And then I can start to do all of the promotion and get some batches dyed up and start to get that organized for, yeah, as I said, probably an October pre-order launch. Okay, now to, oh no, oh, I didn't bring it. I am going to have to go and get it. Um, okay, let's pause. It's not in here, is it? No, let's pause and I'll go and get it and I'll come back. First to what I am wearing this week. This is
the True Stripes jumper out of the 52 weeks of easy knits. I have made this one for myself, and then I also made a non-striped version with color changing yarn for my sister, and put white fluff down the sleeves and made them quite bell and open. This is a good example of me enjoying knitting with other Australian yarns and Australian yarn dyers, as I talked about last week. So I have the Knitting Man Recommends in Old Miller Green. The burgundy and the light green are from Colleen's Crafts, and they're not a named colorway. The white, I keep pointing to the back of my sleeve where you can't see. The white is from Bendigo Woolen Mills, and the yellow with the pops of reddish orange are from Fluff and Nonsense, and that color is called Mango Daiquiri. So nice, big, comfy drop shoulder, good for keeping warm. Just watching Vito. He's trying, looked like he was about to try and climb over the fence. I don't know what he was doing there. Trying to reach grass on the other side, I think. Okay, first to what I finished, which is in my corduroy Crystal Cat Stitchery bag. I finished the Crosshill Cardigan. Now, it desperately needs a block, but here it is pre-blocking, and then I'll show you again. I'll hopefully be able to wear it once it's finished blocking. And there's the back. Hang on a second. So I haven't weighed. I wanted to find out how much of each of these little mini skeins I had left, because I've still got lots of each of these. So I actually didn't have to go back to the bits that I had ripped out where I made a mistake with the making a smaller size. I did make quite a few modifications to this cardigan, and I would note to be careful when you knit it to get the size that you want, that you need for yourself, because I feel like it's sized quite small. So I ended up knitting the size 3, and it does need a really good blocking, but I think it will end up fitting okay. There's quite a lot of stretch, as you can see, in these lace sections, which is going to give both the sleeves more length, and it's going to give the body more length and more width. I just have to sort of figure out how wide versus how high I want this to be. So I'll go through all of the colorways. This is from Yarn Trader. It is Tea in the Garden. This is Dusty Rose by Sally Ridgway. This is, I was calling it Sand. It is a Dreaming Colour Club colorway from, I think, like 2014. This is Amber by Sally Ridgway. This is Wombat by Sally Ridgway. This is a green that I dyed when I was experimenting for my Christmas colorways last year. This is Queen of Cups by Toil and Trouble Yarns from Salem in the US. And this is a one of a kind from Bombed Yarns. And the main color is also from Bombed Yarns, and this is Pinot on the Carpet, which she has just announced, unfortunately, that she has decided she will no longer dye, because she's had real trouble being able to get consistent results with dyeing it. It is absolutely beautiful. I really do love this color. So there might still be a little bit in her shop if you're lucky. She said there was still some DK skeins available, but this is a 4-ply, and I used just over a full skein, but I still have quite a lot of my second skein left. So this is sort of like a collector's edition now. So I think I probably will end up making a Tolster tee with this, and either doing some different color on the yoke or doing the cuffs and ribbing in a different color, so that I can use every single bit of this really lovely yarn. So Now to my modifications on this. So as I said, I originally cast on the size 2 and I went up to the size 3. The shoulder to the arm is still a little tight, but as I said, I think if I block that part out quite aggressively through here, I should get the arm depth that I need. I did the body to pattern, and I think the thing to note why there was an issue with the sizing is because the only place where you can make adjustments to the depth or the length of anything is in your main color, because obviously these stripes are only going to be as wide as they're going to be, but you can add extra rows in here. If I had thought about that, I probably would have added a few more rows into the body, but I think it'll be okay. But there's extra in the sleeves. I think there's 14 rows in the sleeves, but not quite as many down here. I think I'm rambling a little bit. The changes, I did make changes on the sleeves because I was worried that they wouldn't be quite long enough. I kind of want them to be sort of probably 3/4. So I did two things. I was worried also that they weren't going to be wide enough at the top because there were decreases. It was quite a lot of decreases every main color section, because you had to make sure you ended up with the right number of stitches to be able to do the lace pattern. So I didn't do any decreases in this first one, and then decreased in pattern for the next, was it 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. And then I did some additional sections of the main color which wasn't in the pattern, to put some additional decreases in, and then I did a smaller amount of the twisted rib cuff at the end. And I like how that looks, and I like how that felt on my arm as well. I thought about maybe going back and ripping out the bottom hem and doing a little bit of stockinette before I did the twisted rib, but twisted rib is not fun to do flat, so I just left it and I'm happy with that. I bound off everything using Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, and I feel like that's going to give me a lot of flexibility to be able to block it out quite a lot. As you can see, it is quite see-through, but it's supposed to be like a light spring summer sort of cardigan. So I think with a really good aggressive block, it will end up being a really nice size. One other thing I did do, which wasn't in the pattern, is I finished this edge along here with a crochet chain once I had bound off everything off, and it's still quite stretchy, so I still will be able to block it out. But I felt like that just neatened up the edges where the lace was, and kind of tied it all together. And then on the edge where your ends are, it gave a really good spot to weave in and sort of grab up these ends with that crochet chain, rather than trying to weave it back into the coloured lace section here. So I feel like that made it really quite nice and neat and tidy. I also did not cut my main colour the whole way through the body or on the sleeves. I carried it up like you do when you do stripes or colour work, and just like twisted the yarns around and kept the working yarn at the front and the main colour at the back, and then just continued to work on it once I got to the next section of that colour. And I think that was good in terms of the amount of ends, because there's still a lot of ends to weave in on this, and I didn't lose any flexibility in terms of doing that. I was really careful to keep that nice and loose and carry it all the way up so that it wasn't pulling. So yeah, I will hopefully have it blocked and dried, and I can show you it again next week. But yeah, finished object, and still lots of all of the little colorways, so I can potentially use those as stripes in some other projects. The other project that I was working on previously that I showed you was my Seam My Vest Chunky by Maker, and that's my third one of those, and this one is in a creative garage bag. So I have, the needles aren't in it at the moment. I have finished the body and the bottom hem, and now it just needs its neckband and the arms. So that shouldn't take too much longer to finish. I love the combination of this yarn. So this is 3 yarns held together. It is Fairfield Fins in the dyed with natural logwood, and Studio something. That's helpful, isn't it? Here it is. Studio 8 ply mohair by Cleckheaton, and Sublime kid mohair in a lilac colorway. So I have this tiny little ball left of the lilac. I've got random bits of the studio, so I've got plenty of that, and this is a 4 ply. So I am going to do the neck next, and I should be able to get the rest of the neck done with this, and then I'll see how much is left. I'm going to try and get the neck out. I'm going to try and get the arms out of it as well, but based on my last version where I used a different color of this, I didn't manage to get the sleeves as well. So I'm either going to maybe hold 2 strands of this with the purple, but that might make it a bit too chunky, or I have this light pink Grange yarn is a 14 ply, so I might, that goes quite nicely, but I think I'd prefer to have it all in the one color. So I'm gonna try and play a little bit of yarn chicken and weigh and manage and see what I can work out. I think after I finish this one, I'm going to take a rest from making these and work on some other projects. But this is a really great go-to, and now that I've kind of got the formula for the sizing that I like, it's a good one to come back to, especially when I'm trying to use up some random bits and pieces from my stash. So then, after I cast off my Crosshill cardigan, I cast on something new with yarn that I bought from Bendigo.
Sorry if the sound was just not good in that last section. I think my earpods dropped out and weren't recording. Hopefully the sound is good enough. I won't know until I start editing, and honestly, I'm not going to go back and fix this unless it's really, really bad. So sorry about that. Anyway, I think they are working now. On to my final project, which I cast on after I finished the Crosshill. This is in a patchwork bag that I got from a craft market in Port Lincoln when I went on a cruise. I am making the Melanie by Marzena Kolacek, and I am using some yarn that I bought from Bendigo with something from my stash. So the from my stash is this lace weight. It's coming up very, very bright. It's actually not, it kind of feels sometimes is that bright, but then kind of isn't. It does have white sections through it. It's from Fiberific. I think it's like a tencel wool blend, and it's about 800 meters, and it's a lace weight. And I've had it in my stash for quite a while. When I wound it, I found that there are a few breaks in it. I think I had left it somewhere where the moths might have got to it at some point. And I think I started a project and then ripped it out and then made sure to retrieve every single little bit that I could. So I'm working with what I have with this. And I am using this yarn from Leasum. Thank you to Rosie at home who commented on my my haul video last week, confirming that it is pronounced Leasum. So it is a pole merino blend. It is beautifully soft, and I'm really enjoying knitting with it. This is the basalt colorway, and it's a 4 ply. So I'm using a 4 ply and the lace together. And this is what I have done so far. Oh, goodness, it's all tangled. I've got like bits and pieces everywhere. So I've done the right front and the left front and the shaping for the neck. And I have now started on the back shoulder, the right back shoulder. So I'm a little ways through that. And then I will pick up on my provisional cast on here and do the same and then join in the round. Look at how beautifully those two are working up together to create a really beautiful mild pink, grey, not really sure what color it is, but looks really, really beautiful. So I'm really, really enjoying how this is coming out. So I only have 800 meters of this and I only have 800 meters of this, which should be enough for the second size of this jumper. But I've been thinking if it's not going to be enough, I have a solution to make sure that it looks like it is. And that is that the neckband, the cuffs, and the hem are all double knit and folded up and sewn on. So as long as the outside, as in like the public facing side of the jumper is in this marl, then the inside doesn't matter so much as long as it doesn't add a different sort of bulk or weight to the overall jumper. So I am going to knit all of the insides of those double hems in a different yarn. Once I sort of fold it over, so I'll get the outside part and I'll probably do another centimetre or so in this yarn so that if you sort of flip it up a little bit, it still looks like this. And then I'll finish the folded up part of the hem in a different yarn so that I will for sure have enough, fingers crossed, to do the entire jumper. But that is the start there. It is going to be sort of a fitted drop sleeve, so you can see how that's going to sit on my shoulders. And I sort of started it early this week and got quite a way through, and I've paused because I kind of wanted to finish that other jumper, other vest first, and then I'll go back to this, and then probably, because there'll be some spaces in my knitting calendar, I will think about what else I'm going to cast on. I haven't knit socks for a while, so that might be in my future. But I don't know. I haven't been feeling so much like knitting on socks lately. So I will just see what inspires me when I get to it. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you enjoy these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.